Shalom, I'm Nama Rue. This is my husband, Rabbi David Rue. We are living the Shmita year life in the Holy Land, and we are making sure to learn all the laws around it, about the holiness of the produce and the way we need to treat it, and all the things that have to do with expanding the holiness and being careful.
So the last few discussions, we've been talking about Tosefes Shvis, adding before and to a certain extent after Shmita, and what you can plant and when you can plant and so on. We discussed the different interpretations of Rashi, Tosefes, the Rambam, and the Chazon Ish. Now, out of that, in general, the halacha is that you're not allowed to plant trees after the 15th of Av. However, there is one major exception and several minor exceptions to that. So I want to go over these quickly, and hopefully we can finish this all in one lesson. So if we're talking about an ilan srak, a tree that has no beneficial smell, like hadassim are a tree, and they have a nice smell. You're supposed to use hadassim if possible for Havdalah and so on. So they would not be included. But if you think of something like a pine tree, which most people don't harvest the pine nuts for it, or an oak tree, or many other birch and so on trees, that they produce nothing of use for us in terms of food, certainly. They don't produce a nice smell. They are pretty.
Wait, pine nuts and pine smell. What was the other tree that you said? Pine and you said birch, oak. Oak we use. Some people make food with.
Most people don't.
Okay,
For
fine.
the vast majority of people, these are not food-producing trees.
Okay.
So, according to the Rambam, the primary problem was counting the years of Orla, and so that we shouldn't be confused and having the first year be of Orla be on the Shmita, so we needed a full 30 days, which would be counted as a year, and 15 days before that for the roots to attach to the ground. So that's where it came from. So if you have a tree where we're not going to count years of Orla because we don't have its primary use for the vast majority of people isn't producing food, therefore, you could plant it until 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. So it had the klita, so the roots had attached before Rosh Hashanah, had been attached to the ground before Rosh Hashanah, and then there wouldn't be a problem for Shmita. This is the opinion of the Eglei Tal, the Shabbos Haaretz, the Minchas Chinuch, and many other Achronim of the later authorities. The Chazon Ish learns it differently, and according to the Chazon Ish, he doesn't think klita, the attaching of the roots into the ground, is a problem for ilanei srak, for non-food producing trees, and therefore, according to the Chazon Ish, you could plant till Rosh Hashanah. For those people that live in Bnei Brak and those people that follow the opinion of the Chazon Ish, they could do this. Everyone else should plant these trees at least 2 weeks before. Again, this is to a large extent a machlokas between which pasuk is the most important. Is the pasuk prohibiting human beings from doing things most important? Lo tizra, don't not plant. Or is it the Vishav Saharetz, the land will rest, that the land has to be resting on Shmita? The Chazon Ish looks at this as only a prohibition for human beings, that he's not as concerned with the land resting. Whereas Rav Kook and Shlomo Zalman Auerbach say that both of them are equally important, and therefore the land must attach to the tree. The tree must attach to the land before Rosh Hashanah of the Shemitah year. Now, if we're talking about normal trees, normal food-producing trees, an apple tree, a date palm, a cherry tree, and so on, is there a possibility to plant after Tu B'Av? So now, normally, other than grapevines, most trees, when you go to a nursery and buy them, come in one of two ways. They come in a large burlap sack holding a ton of dirt around the roots of the tree, or they come in a large plastic container, a large pot, usually 5 gallons or more of dirt, from which the tree can actually live for a very significant amount of time. So the tree attaching to the ground here wouldn't be such an issue. So if it's the type that comes in a burlap sack, then you could plant the tree without a problem until the 29th of Av. So it would have the year of Orla, the 30 days for the year of Orla, and so the Shmita year would be the second year of Orla, and everything would be fine. If you're talking about the type that comes in a pot, then if there's a 2 centimeter or larger, 1 inch or larger hole, let's say, in the bottom of the pot, then it wouldn't be a problem. In both of these cases, before the 15th of Av, these would have to be sitting on the ground. So if you have them sitting on your concrete or stone patio, wood patio, wherever where a tree can't grow, that would be a problem. So if you get them and make sure that they're on the dirt before this time, in either one of these two ways, that wouldn't be a problem.
So just to say, that's about 6 weeks before the new year, correct?
Tu B'Av is 6 weeks before
Rosh Hashanah. Right.
The 29th of Av is 30 days before Rosh Hashanah.
Okay.
Well, 31 days, because it needs 30 days in the ground to count for a year of Orla. Now, if you're talking about vegetables that are planted in a planter, right? They're coming with dirt. You're not planting a seed in the ground, right? Then you should be able to put them in the ground until 4 days before Rosh Hashanah. Flowers that don't have a pleasant smell, they have no smell at all. According to most of the poskim, you can plant them until the 26th of Elul, 4 days before Rosh Hashanah. According to the Chazon Ish, you can plant them even Erev Rosh Hashanah, until Rosh Hashanah itself. If the plants have a pleasant smell, then there's a debate among the poskim that we've talked about previously. So they should have Kedusha Shvis, and they would have to be planted earlier than this, essentially like trees. Or if you take the lenient side, they would be like the same as flowers that have that don't have a scent, and it would be either the 26th of Elul or Erev Rosh Hashanah, according to the Chazon Ish.
Can I say something about that? So you said vegetables need to be planted, like if you're transplanting them, so that they're rooted in the ground before Rosh Hashanah. However, I know that with coriander, that didn't work for me.
No, wait. If you plant a seed, it's entirely different. That's not what I'm talking.
I bought a start. I bought a plant, and I put it in the ground. And I actually put it next to where I know coriander will be popping up on its own, because it dropped seeds there last year, and it tends to voluntarily keep on propagating. Yeah, but it's prohibited all year to eat coriander that's growing on the land.
It's prohibited to eat coriander that hasn't sprouted before Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
If the coriander sprouted before Rosh Hashanah, it wouldn't be a problem. If you take the coriander plant that you transplanted, that one isn't a problem. It's all the ones around it that would be a problem. So it may be that you have to label all the ones around it, or label this one, or maybe you rip out the ones around it so that there won't be a problem, something like that.
Right.
But the plant that you transplanted isn't problematic.
So I could have put it in a different area, and it would have been okay.
You could put it wherever you want.
Oh, okay. Well,
as long as it's not an issue of climb.
No, I could have put it somewhere else, but instead I just took it back out of the ground and put it under a roof in a pot.
All right.
So it won't really grow to the same, extent as if it was in the ground. But
All right. So these are the last issues that we're going to talk about Tosefes Shvis before Rosh Hashanah. Eventually, we'll discuss about fruits that are harvested after Rosh Hashanah, but that will be toward the end. So next shiur will be on to something new.